Okay, let's talk weapons. We're going to use Flying Leathernecks missile launchers. These are for 1969, 1975. And since our jet is 1972, it's a perfect time to use them. And then what I have here is Rich Fan's Flightline Resin weapons. I have a Sparrow still in the cage. This is the AIM-7E and AIM-79. I think it's the GH for the Navy, and then our AIM-54. So this is a new version. I got the original ones, which did not come in a full cage. But after talking to Rich, I picked up the new ones, and this is what we get. So let's take a look here. We get our nose cones, separate pieces, inserts between the body and the nose cone, and then the missiles now come with a full cage to protect the fins. We just cut away the cage at the base, snap all of these, and abracadabra magic, boom, that's what we have when we get rid of them. So these are the A's. Also just have to cut away there's a nice, in between the fins there's a little flash in there just to keep the fins perfectly aligned and straight. There's our back end. That's beautiful. I have some ideas of how I'm going to paint this. And that's the body. Real easy. Insert goes in here, goes on here. I just touch that together when we glue it. I'm going to paint this separately because the front nose cone has a ceramic off-white color. And then on our piece back here, we cut up to the ring. This is a silver ring, so I'm going to paint this and then mask and paint the silver so that when I put the nose on, boom, there's no more masking. And then same thing with our Sparrow. Oop, there goes our Sidewinder. We're just going to go ahead and cut all the sprue gates off. They are attached to the fins here, so we're going to have to, I'm going to do this the easy way to prevent damage on the fins. I'm going to cut. Oh no. Well, looks like we're going to have to get another Sparrow. And onto fitting the Phoenix missile onto the rack. I'm going to fit this to our piece here from Tamiya. Let's get this the right way. And what I do notice here is that these line up. So when you line those up, the gripping points for the missile here line up to the capture points for basically for the kit missiles. But since we're not using that and I don't want to dig into Flightline resin stuff, what I'm going to do is cut these off and make it work. So just for fun, let's drop this in here. Basically, it'll go here. Those points line up almost perfect. I thought about going with magnets for this, and I still might do that, but I don't really want to drill into the Flightline resin parts. So what we are going to do, snip these. Now, I just grab a saw here and cut in a little bit what I need. Yep. Okay, and here are the results. You can see on our Phoenix part, we've just cut out little clips there. We take our missile and boom. It connects just like that. It sits in there very nicely. And when we put it in our missile rail, it snaps right in. Okay, I think we might have crisis averted because the Sparrow has to go in the well. Let's take a look. If we put that, oh, no. These are the power conduits that need to go in, which means the Sparrow has to go in this way, and we'll have a broken fit at the bottom. So I'm gonna have to get another Sparrow. Well, okay. Learning my lesson from the Sparrow, we're gonna move on to our Sidewinder. And if we look real close at it, there are fins with the runners here that we do not want to cut from the bottom and jiggle, because what happened on the last one is I jiggled this and it snapped these fins because they're so thin. So what I'm going to do here, so I'm going to work my way to the top. There we go. So just cutting everything that connects on here. There we go. So the top part comes off. I think from here we can just go ahead and trim off the fins. Keep working our way around. Make sure we get all of them snapped off first. Oh, there we go. The fin looks pretty good. So now I'm going to come in and just take off the rest of this outer cage. Ta-da! And there we go. I think I'm going to go ahead and prime it like this. The fins are going to probably be a different color. Well, they'll be the same color in the back, but I'm going to prime it like this. Okay, moving on, we pulled out a new Aim-7 Sparrow. I tried to see if it was possible to fix that fin, but there's no way I can glue something that razor thin together. So what we're going to do is be smarter on this next one. I'm going to start by removing the top cages, top part off. Now, I don't want to get any leeway here, so I'm going to cut in the middle. Well, it's a lot of cuts, but now those are all separated. Cool. And now I can come in and cut below. Snap off these guys. Boom, boom, they go flying. Boom. There we go. So I'm going to go to the bottom and cut off these parts. There we go. Now all we have to do is cut the fins. Look at that. One of them actually came off on its own. Okay. Big cut time. Snap. It's so satisfying, actually, just that clip. There we go. All those are good. That will slide in just like that. All right, everything has been primed with Mr. Finishing Surfacer Gray 1500. You get a look here. It's nice and smooth. It's beautiful. It's not glossy. It's definitely a semi-gloss, if anything, a flat coat. But these are the missiles. I went ahead. I used AK Real Color Off-White for my Phoenix radomes there, and the front of the Sparrow. Got out our C-156 Super White for the missiles. I love the idea that this airplane's got like 5 different kinds of white going on. All right, here we go. So the Sparrow, we've masked the front end with the off-white. Now, all right, what I'm saying is we don't need to worry about the fins, because those are going to be a different color. Well, shit, they may be white too. Should have checked my references before I started painting. Okay, moving on with the Phoenix details. Now that we have all the white done, we're going to come back. We're going to do a little bit more white on this later, actually, but I have masked off the back end here, all of the tails, and the reason being is I'm going to paint the motor section in the back, and then we're going to paint the nose of the Sidewinder. So to do that, I've grabbed some MRP graphite. Here you go. Load it up in the 0.2, drop the air pressure down to 10 psi, and we're going to very carefully come in, and we're going to hit this at an angle so we're not painting down the missile. We're just going to kind of hit the edges. There we go. And here's the other one done as well. So that way we don't have graphite on the missile itself. We're going to hit our Sidewinder nose. There we go. I'm just going to hit the whole thing. There we go, that's starting it. It looks a lot brighter on camera than it is in person. And coming back to the Phoenix missile here, it's just a little too tan for my liking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself a little bit of MRP's navy white, insignia white, and it's kind of just a little bit grayer than insignia white should be, I think, but it's just got a little bit of a grayness to it. If that doesn't work, what I always been using is Off-White by Mr. Color C69. I should have just started with that, but I thought I'd try the AK instead. So let's come in and we're going to just kind of re-hit the nose here with just a light. I'm just going to kind of go light coat over the whole thing. Now I can compare these two. And to my eye, that looks a lot better. Let's take a look at these two. Left is the AK, right is the navy white over the top of it. Might be kind of hard to see in video, but in real life, it looks really nice. I wish I got this on camera because I grabbed my circle cutter to do the back end of the Phoenix to paint the inside of the motor. I literally picked a random diameter, and this is what I got. It is like a fraction of a millimeter too big. I made this microscopic adjustment, and I know, no pictures, fix it or didn't happen, but second shot, absolutely perfect mask. So we're going to do this again here. Take our circle cutter, cut a mask, and then we are going to take our back end of this. Here you go, lay that right on, and boom, perfect circle. Mixing up our red color. What I found I really like, we're going to do wine red, Mr. Color C100. You know, a little heavy on the Mr. Leveling Thinner. Stir it up. Unfortunately, the paints are on the wall here in front of me, and that is the sidewall of the garage, which in the wintertime gets cold, in the summertime gets hot, and I've had to invest in tip of the week, Mr. Restore Thinner. Fortunately, this was just thick paint, so didn't have to do any restore on it. All right, the paint is really thin, so it might take a little while to build up. All right, we'll take off the mask, give it a black wash, and we call it a day with that. As far as some close-ups now, we're going to paint a little more section on this AIM-9. And in order to do that, we use Tamiya masking tape 1mm. This is tip of the day. So that's what we're going to get. We're going to use a little bit of Alclad exhaust manifold and paint that center section with 1mm tape. I'm not having much luck trying to mask the this section here, so I'm just going to freehand it. We're going to see what happens. Good luck. All right, and that is the result. It looks like I got it in there with no overspray. Look at that. What do you know? All right, just to give you a quick idea of what the masking looks like for the back end here. That's all masked just to get these little tailerons done in MRP steel. And this is what it looks like when we take off the tape. Not too shabby. Got steel roller-ons. And that is the leftover pile of tape. Trying to wrap up some details tonight on the Phoenixes. And what we're seeing here is the result of masking the metal ring up front, the silver ring. Normally I would use decals, Fighter Town decals right here. We can point this out here. This be this part right here with the silver ring on there, but because the Flightline resin stuff is so fine and this stuff is so well detailed, I'm going to go ahead and paint it. I used some There's 2mm tape around there and then just regular Tamiya tape. So I'm going to grab some silver. And while we're talking about this, I'm using MRP silver. I think one of the best silvers out there, and I've learned this from a lot of other people, and everyone seems to agree, is Tamiya LP11 lacquer. This stuff right here is just beautiful, goes on super smooth. And here as well, you can mask over it. It's probably one of the best silvers on the market. However, I'm lazy and I don't feel like mixing, so I just grab my my MRP, and here we go. Let's just that took all about 10 seconds to spray those. So let's go ahead and pull off our masking. Looks nice. Phoenix 1 in progress. These are basically done. The nose cone, while I'm doing this all handheld, here I'll put that in the frame. I just dipped that tip in a little bit of silver at the end, but to give you an idea, that is what the missile looks like when it is done. And one of the beautiful things you can see on this is we haven't had to use all the decals from the Fighter Town set because all these things, all these fasteners, rivets, screws, all that stuff is printed in. So we haven't had to use all of those decals. You can see on the finished one here, I have not, I haven't added the lift gears up in the front. Still trying to figure out if I can cut those out or not. So we are almost done. These are the parts we're going to just go with a semi-gloss coat today. What I'm using today is, I love the Galleria matte finish. It's awesome. It's super, super flat matte. I mean, we're talking like dead flat, ultra flat. So what I kind of tend to do, even with flat, is I add just a little bit of satin varnish, maybe like a 4-to-1 or 5-to-1. What I want today is kind of a semi-gloss. These missiles were not dead flat. The nose is worse. We're going to do that separately. But I'm kind of going like a 60-40 mix or so, mostly more flat than gloss. I'm just kind of freehanding it. I'm not worrying about the background. I'm just going to paint into the mat here. But what I'm doing this for is because I still have to cut them off. Never again will I paint ejection seats while they're on their supports. But in this case, even though I knew better, I did it anyways. Spray. All right, you get the idea. We'll catch you when it's done. Okay, something I totally forgot. Because we're using the Flying Leathernecks missile rails, they are here. They don't have the mounting tabs to go to the Sparrow or the Phoenix rails, so we have to do that ourselves. Tamiya, of course, makes these all in one piece, so we need to come in here, cut a set of these off. All right, here's the result. One, put the razor saw through my tip of my finger there, so that sucked. But one of them, oh, bad cut, that's done. Get rid of that. Other one is good, but now I got to go get a spare. I wish there was an indicator as to where exactly it goes, but it's pretty easy to find. It just goes on just like that. And then, of course, these parts seat perfectly into our spot there. So a little bit of super glue, a little bit of paint, and we will have our missile rails. So cut one more, paint them, move on. Still so few things, but those last things take so long, baby.